PNAMP and USGS, and this data visualization meeting has been in progress. I mean, this whole work group has been in progress since March, and we've had about 6, 7 presentations, a lot of participation, and even more interest, which is great. So it's growing as we go. So I welcome everybody who joined and who would like to join, and tell your friends, tell your colleagues. This is a meeting that we're doing about every month. I think we're probably going to an every other month format in 2019. And our purposes have been, at least to start, to learn from each other, to see what we're doing out there for data visualizations of especially fish and fish habitat work in the Pacific Northwest. But we're ranging beyond that to see how people are using data visualization for various reasons. And so I would like to direct your attention to some resources that we have and to the areas that we have for the work group, and that's on pnamp.org, which I think many of you been before, to pnamp.org. So in pnamp.org, we have projects, data management best practices, and data visualization. It's our area. So this is a project that we're doing. As I said, we're just learning from each other at this point and seeing what other people are doing around the region, but also people have asked for input from, far and wide ranging projects. Here's a Google Drive folder where we're putting recordings of the presentations. They're a little too large for our pnamp.org site, so you can go here and download the presentations that we've had so far. So we also have the meeting notes here, and we have this document, data visualization resources, which you are able to comment on. You're not able to actually edit, but if you have this link, you're able to comment, and I can add your suggestions for examples. These are links to our work group presentations. Sometimes they're links directly to a data visualization, such as Nancy Leonard, who I think she may be on the call with us from the Northwest Power and Conservation Council, also presented a talk, and I'll put her link to her data visualization here. So any ideas you might have, I welcome any input anytime. You can email me and send suggestions for data visualizations. This is a fun one, the Modus Wildlife Tracking System, which tracks migratory animals. Just one example. So this is for you to all participate. And as far as introducing who's on the call with us, you can open the little participant window and see who's on the call. But we're going to stop introductions because there's so many of you, unless if you're joining us for the very first time, it would be great if you would introduce yourself. And I know there might be just a few of you out there, 3 or 4. So I'm not seeing a name that I don't recognize, but anybody joining us from Washington State who has never been on the call before. All right, I guess that's a no. Oh, and if you muted yourself, unmute yourself to talk. You can mute yourself by right-clicking on your phone and the participant number. You can also mute yourself directly on your phone. Anybody from Oregon?
Hi.
Hello?
I'm kind of split in Oregon and Washington, but this is Erin Butts. I'm joining the call for the first time.
Oh, hi, Erin. I had asked you to present to us. Yeah, thanks for joining us. And maybe in November you'll be able to present us with what you guys are doing. And you're from which
Yeah,
organization?
definitely. I work with U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service.
All right, thanks for joining us, Erin. Anyone
Yeah.
else from Oregon that's new?
This is Ken Bertram. I'm with the Umatilla tribe, and I'm sitting in for Stacy Schumacher. So glad to be here.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for joining us. I know Stacy's been with us a couple times. And anyone else from Oregon that has never been on a data visualization call before? Sounds like we got everybody. Anybody from Idaho who has never been on a call before? I'm going to take that as a no. And anyone else that we missed who just joined us or who has never been on a data visualization work group call before? All right, so just a couple people. So usually I go through a little bit longer talk if there are more new people about how to get where and where to find our resources, but I think we're good to go. Are there any questions about that? All right, then. I'll get right to the presentations. We're pretty lucky to have two presentations today. One from John Walker, who is a GIS specialist from ICF. I believe, John, you're out of Portland, Oregon, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and I will let you explain ICF, who they are, and why ICF. And then, first of all, we have another presenter, Joe Kirby from the Department of Conservation in Missouri. I found both of these people from the OFWIM conference that's coming up November 4th through 8th, and that is the Organization of Fisheries and Wildlife Information Managers. So that is an organization of people who are primarily concerned with data from fisheries and wildlife and what we do with it and how to manage it and how to present it. So it's a group of people that are really suited to present to what we do, and maybe I can get more of those people to present in the future. And I heard from many of us, it was about 50-50 when I asked, would you rather see presentations from our own group of partners in the Pacific Northwest, primarily concerned with fisheries and fisheries habitat work and fisheries population work, or would you rather see people who work with data in other ways in different places, all over the place, all over the globe? And it was a 50-50 response. You know, half of you said, just fisheries, and half of you said, yeah, everybody, everywhere. So I think that we can learn from anyone who's working with data visualization. I think some of the concepts are, and the challenges are similar. So let's start with John. And John, are you ready to share your screen? I can stop sharing my screen.
Sure, I'll do a bit of an intro here first before I pull my screen up. But yeah, I'm with ICF, formerly Jones and Stokes, which may be familiar to some people. But I sit under the Environment and Planning umbrella, and I manage a team of GIS analysts, programmers, and we support a lot of fisheries work, amongst other things. So my background is in GIS mathematics, and then also some programming, and this presentation is going to be a little off the cuff today. I'm going to take a tour through some of our tools, kind of project fires, and some last minute field work has kept me from putting together a formal PowerPoint presentation. So hopefully we don't mind the little on the fly tour. But a bit of background. So my team's story, we used to use a lot of common software packages such as Esri tools, ArcGIS Online, Excel for charts, things like that. But the complexity of data visualization needs quickly surpassed what these tools could offer. And for dashboarding purposes, I began to explore Tableau, which I loved at first. Well, I still do, but the costs, the licenses, the server management setup, it all kind of became a bit of an issue. And as we're aware, we kind of have to pick and choose what we purchase. And I think at the time I was interested in getting a drone for field survey work, so that was kind of my choice. But yeah, I'm still interested in doing more with Tableau in the future, but cost did kind of provide a restriction for us. So I am interested in the second presentation to kind of hear what was done there. But I still kind of use it for desktop needs and things like that, for making charts. So I think it's great. But we then kind of looked into other offerings and discovered some open source tools. And this was at the time when libraries such as Carto, Mapbox, Leaflet, D3 for data visualization were all emerging. And we kind of jumped on them and loved what we found, loved what we were able to do, and really haven't looked back since. And the things that I commonly hear, and the obstacles that people have with Esri software and things like that, like it really makes me confident with the choices and the direction that we've taken things. So each of our projects, they have unique needs and customization capabilities that these open source tools provide. Has allowed us to present and share data in a whole new way. For example, setting up data queries so that resource managers can just access the information that they need from us, not be presented kind of with everything all at once. We put together some stakeholder engagement commenting tools for kind of crowdsourcing information from project partners. We started integrating maps with dynamic charts, so we kind of get a dashboard that has the best of both worlds. And then we've also done some things with browser-based analysis, so you can kind of do some geoprocessing on the fly within the tool without requiring desktop GIS software or experience. So that's allowed us to put together some really powerful tools for our clients. So as I mentioned earlier, we're a small team, a few GIS analysts and programmers. We have some crossover in those skills. So there's been about 3 of us who have kind of put together the suite of tools that I'll be sharing today. So yeah, it's not a large group. None of us had more than, I guess, a casual familiarity with web programming before a few years ago. But fortunately, we are a group of quick learners, and we were really motivated to do things differently. And there's been a lot of kind of excitement, definitely at the start, still for me, to kind of have the freedom to develop these tools in whatever direction we need to for internally and for clients. This, of course, required some time for development, kind of to get certain functionality up to speed. But a lot of there's been a buzz, kind of a lot of project work and a lot of interest in these tools, and kind of having more projects to work on has helped us to kind of get these things up to speed faster. And we got new functionality that we're able to kick out. And oftentimes putting together like a web-based tool can be a cost savings for a project. Sometimes making figures, especially when the project area or the data is really complex, like it's just kind of hard to do that in a static chart or a static map. And so having kind of a dynamic tool really saves people a lot of time. And it also provides a fresh way to transparently report data and make it accessible to interested parties, which is really exciting to me. So with that, I'm going to show some things in addition to talking, so that way we can look at some of these tools. So I'll attempt to share my screen here. And then let me know if I'm up.
Yes, we
I
see
see your
screen.
Zoom window. Okay,
Your
great.
Zoom window, yeah.
All right. So each one of these projects, you know, I could easily talk for 20 minutes about each one, but I'm not going to give too much background on what they are. It's more of the functionality that I'm going to focus on. So I'll start with this one. And basically the challenge was we had data to present across many different species, many different scenarios, many different metrics, and that's just really hard to do in a single table or in a single map or even in a whole report filled with 300 maps. So this was kind of our solution to that need at the time. So what you're able to do here is just through these simple controls is set queries on the data. So for example, you can choose, you know, the species of interest. We'll just put spring Chinook. You can choose the population. We'll just do all. And then after you make your selections, up on the map, pop up results, pop up data. You know, right now we're looking at restoration prioritization, like where restoration would get the most bang for your buck. And that's shown across the watershed. Over here we have some tools or a dynamic chart that you know, corresponds to what we're looking at. We can kind of see individual attributes. But yeah, without going into too much detail, so that, you know, you're allowed to kind of change the metric that you're interested in seeing, and the data, you know, on the map as well as the data in the chart over here kind of changes on the fly. You're able to switch scales, kind of switch between restoration and protection, things like that. So this was just a really exciting way for us to kind of present data and to make it consumable, I guess. So if you're someone who only wants to see, you only care about a certain species, or you only care about a certain population origin or something like that, you don't have to dig and search through data sets, through maps to kind of find what you're looking for. You can really drill down and find directly what you need. So that's an example of that. I'll walk through these because time is limited, but I'm certainly happy to answer any questions you have at the end, or we can follow up if you want to talk about any of these more at a different time. So kind of switching gears here, these are a couple watersheds that we analyzed for the city of Portland, and what we're looking at right now are some commenting tools that we developed. And so these different colors you see on here are comments that project partners were able to come in and you know, drop directly on the map and help crowdsource data. So they could tell us, you know, like, oh, the stream network looks different here, or there's fish spawning has not been observed here, or it has been observed here. And this was a way that we could kind of work with different agencies, kind of get that data, you know, maybe find data sources that we weren't aware of, and kind of get everyone to sort of work together and collaborate and make sure we have the best available information. So I'll kind of do a little demo of that. So yeah, these different colors kind of represent different comment topics, you know, some about obstructions or reach network or habitat. And those, you know, we have control over how we set those up. But if I, you know, with someone from a watershed council or something, you know, I can come in here and drop a comment on the map, kind of say what it relates to, say who I am, and leave that comment. And after I do that, we'll say it's fish distribution, hit save. That comment is then, oh, sorry, I forgot when I unplugged from my dock at my desk and got to re-log in. And once that comment's added to the map, anyone on the project team that has the login credentials can then get in here, see that information. And it's just a fast way for teams to collaborate and kind of talk about the where of things in a whole new way for us. So these tools have been really beneficial. You can also draw lines on here if you want to, like, you know, show a stream network or where something's happening. So building on this project, so we did a restoration assessment of current projects, future projects, and also climate change And then this is where we started to explore combining maps with dynamic dashboards. And so over here, this is a chart that's created using D3. I don't know if that's familiar to anyone, but it's kind of just an open source way of, if you can do some programming, you can start to spin up charts pretty quickly. And it's a really powerful tool. But essentially what we did is linked up the features on the map with the features in the table. So when I click on a particular stream segment, it will take me to that location in the map. And also the reverse of that is true. I can click on a segment on the map and it will take me to that record in the table. And so this is neat. I mean, I just kind of picture, having to have ArcGIS or Google Earth open and a spreadsheet open. And, sometimes if I just have the table or just the chart, it's kind of hard to wrap my head around the where of things, like where these features are. Or if you just have a map, sometimes you're limited with the amount of data you're able to show. So this is kind of our way to do both and put together a tool that's easy for resource managers to use. And so what we can do with this is kind of similar to what we looked at earlier. We can change our our metric to different things. We can look at different scenarios. So these are kind of priorities. Let's see, assuming projects are at maturity. We switch this over. Sorry, I don't have the results for that one loaded up. I think I have them for Washington. There we go. These are results for climate change, and the actual numbers and results don't really matter right now. But the point is that we're able to kind of build controls that help us manage and toggle and look at the data and however we need to for the particular question. So I think that's all I'll say for that one. Kind of switching gears slightly from fisheries data. I'll show some other things just because I think the functionality is pretty neat and potentially useful to people. But we started doing drone surveys a couple years ago, and when you do those, when you have these large data sets, these large imagery files, it's great having that type of information, but then what do you do with it? Sometimes it's so big you can't send it over email or people can't open it up, and it almost takes having a GIS certificate just to be able to look at the data. So what we were able to do is get these imagery tiles directly into our maps, and so we have all of our other tools, so the comments, different data layers, right here alongside the high resolution drone imagery, which is kind of nice because having these open source tools where we can have the flexibility to add what we want, it kind of gives us the ability to put together a tool that houses everything instead of having data living in all sorts of different places. So this one also has like on the ground photos and videos. This one's pretty neat. We recently added some time-lapse maps on here. Probably won't show well over the shared screen, but essentially you can click on a location on the ground and the little video will kind of pull up directly in here and you can watch it. I won't try to show it there. But there's also photo stations. So, for monitoring purposes, people go out at regular intervals and, take photos. So, we have all of those snapshots kind of over time, right here, and you can kind of see like, here's the aerial, but here's also what things look like on the ground. So kind of a neat tool for field monitoring purposes and other reasons. Let's see. Oh, and then this is a tool where we've actually connected field survey data directly to the map. So as people are collecting data in the field, it populates directly to the map. Let me see. Haven't pulled this one up in a while. But yeah, the point is they were doing some bird surveys, and with those there were some associated buffers. So yeah, we were able to connect that. So within an hour of someone collecting something out in the field, the data would populate directly onto the map. So you have your visualization tool that also has this kind of live component of what people are seeing on the ground. And then the final piece, this was an example of building in analysis capabilities. So similar to how we had just simple queries that we're all used to on a table here, we're also able to do spatial queries, which means things like intersections, buffers, stuff like that. So on this particular tool, you can draw a line, you can import your own data, and it'll report back some statistics on the fly associated with the line that you draw. So right now we're seeing just environmental risk over here. So this is a D3 chart that takes the intersections across each one of these categories and kind of reports that here. We also look at things like slope categories, different land covers crossed. So this is just one specific example, but there's a lot of power here in terms of being able to answer the questions that people might have about kind of the where of things without always needing to go to a GIS analyst to run things. Sometimes you just kind of want to look and see where things are at, or see what's within a certain distance and things like that. And it's been really exciting for us with these open source tools to kind of be able to accommodate those things, because once you give people something, or people look at things in a certain way, they always want more, and they get excited. And it's like, can we do this? Can we do that? And kind of with the flexibility of these tools, we're able to say yes to all those requests, which is really fun, because you can't always do that with the limitations of enterprise software. So just real quick, I might be approaching my time limit. So some lessons learned. Definitely that data transparency can have the unforeseen consequence of increasing the project scope. Once people can look at things and see exactly what it looks like and see where things are, more requests always come up, new data sources always pop up. With these crowdsourcing capabilities, there's things just happen that a project starts out as simple, and then quickly gets very complex as people are able to see things and offer more, which is a great thing. But yeah, sometimes it's a little tough to kind of put those bounds on it once you have your data out there. Building your own tools does open the doors for a lot of banging your head on the wall with frustration, but it's also really exciting when you do figure something out, because once you get something and once you have some functionality down, you have it forever. You can recycle it on other tools. You can use it. It's not like you have to build the same thing over and over again. There's a lot you can do with basic skills, but to build like full-fledged client-facing tools, it does require some savvy programming expertise. And I guess finally, sometimes big things can be done surprisingly quickly, and sometimes small things can take a surprisingly long time. So kind of building that into your time and schedule is important when thinking about which tools to use. So that's what I have for today. If there are any questions about any of those, or if anyone's interested in the links to some of these, I can share those.
Thank you, John.
Hi, this is Chantel Kreider in Washington. The first map that you showed, the one of the watersheds, could you talk a little bit more about the underlying technology, what you used to build this particular visualization?
Yeah, you bet. So the map framework is Leaflet, which is a very lightweight open source JavaScript library. And what I mean by lightweight is it's very minimal code. It's easy to manipulate. Once you kind of get comfortable with it, you can do a lot with it. We are hosting our data in Cardo. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's basically an account we have. We can host our data there, and they'll serve up the map tiles for us. So what that means is we can just bring them into our Leaflet map and kind of give them style and things like that in Carto, but then kind of Leaflet takes care of the rest. This chart over here, I think this is one of our older maps, so I think this is actually a chart.js, but then recently we've switched to using D3, which I would recommend if you try to build your own charts.
This is for that service, and then Aaron wanted to add a array to it.
So thank you, John, and thanks, Chantel, for the question. I have a question. This is Sharon. Curious about how you said people could make comments or actually insert information into the map. It was the other map you had of Portland. So how do you curate that? How do you make sure that people aren't entering something you don't want them to enter? And do you curate that? Do you have someone working with whatever people enter in real time, or how do you manage?
Yeah, that's a good question. So this particular map does require login credentials to access. So only the city and certain watershed councils and our project team, we're the only ones that know how to log in. So yeah, we're not getting a lot of junk comments from just people in the public or anything. But yeah, we have it is kind of an evolving process. So once we got the comments working, great. But then once you got a lot of comments, then kind of becomes a comment management type situation. But we have a little thing on here saying addressed, not addressed. So as we go in and if there's asking for a change, you're saying this isn't the right location, or the restoration project is actually downstream here, we can take that information, make sure the underlying data gets changed, mark the comment to addressed, which will switch it to gray, or just delete it from the map. And it's just some time just to kind of deal with the comments and kind of make sure they're properly addressed for the project.
Nice, yeah. So you have an ongoing assessment of how accurate your map is and your assessments as you go.
Exactly, and that way it kind of avoids surprises at the end of the project, because you get some feedback as you go.
And one question about the how-to and the tools. You said you went entirely to open source. Is that true? And is the whole of it using D3, is JavaScript D3, or do you use other tools as well?
Yeah, good question. So the mapping is primarily Leaflet with Carto hosting our data in the cloud. So yeah, Carto is an open source library, which means that you can use it with other things such as Leaflet or with D3 to kind of do what you need to with it. We do have to pay for an account with Carto just because they are hosting data, and it's primarily a data hosting charge for us. But yeah, that's it. And then D3 for creating the charts, and yeah, and then kind of just like the general framework. So once you need something that kind of controls everything, just so it doesn't get to be code overload. And to do that, we use a library called AngularJS, which does a lot of nice things. Like, for example, if I switch the species to coho, it recognizes like, okay, that change has happened, and everywhere else in this application know that coho is now the selection for that. That way, if you have things like, oh, this is showing something for a species, or this is showing something for a species, you don't have to say, change this coho, change this to coho. It's like it can kind of capture and retain that information for everything, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. So any other questions? And I will have, so yeah, John, if you can send me any links to these visualizations and to your tools, that would be great, and we'll put them in the notes for everybody. But yeah, any other questions before we move on to the next presentation?
Hey John, this work that you've done, do you guys open source it? Is it up on GitHub, or is it proprietary?
Yeah, so it's utilizing open source code. We haven't. I mean, it always feels kind of like a work in progress. We're constantly refactoring things and making it better. It's not stuff that we have put out there, but then again, it's not like a secret or proprietary either. So yeah, I mean, it's available. You go to a website and hit Control U, and the underlying code is always there to look at.
John, I have one question about the one where you were doing geospatial analysis on the one map. Is anything done on the server side there, or is that all within the browser?
Good question. So the server side for just the piece of information. So the spatial data is hosted in a database. It's a PostGIS database. And so when the user draws on the map or imports a KML, then it does send a request back to the database saying, okay, here, based on this geometry, what's the intersection with this data that we host up there? And then it returns it back. So you'll see like a slight delay as it's doing that process. If I draw a line from here to here, these are spinning their wheels for a few seconds while it's hitting the server with that query.
Thank you.
All right, any more questions for John? And John, you're willing to take questions later if people think of them and look at your visualization. We can email.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, if anyone wants to connect, I'll also be at the upcoming conference if anyone's going to that. So yeah.
That's great.
Glad to chat.
The conference is in Hood River coming right up, and yeah, if you're planning to go, great. If you are just now hearing about it, feel free to register at the last minute and join us in Hood River. It's November 4th through 8th. All right, so if you turn your screen sharing back over to me. All right, now we have Joe Kirby from the Missouri Department of Conservation. And Joe, I know you're working with Tableau, and interestingly, we had a request specifically for Tableau. Somebody wanted to know, what can you do? How much can you do with Tableau? And one of our earlier presenters used Tableau. I don't know if it was Chantel, was it you or Michelle? But yeah, we had a presentation for Tableau, and so we're interested in what you've done with it, Joe. And if I stop sharing my screen, are you ready to take the screen, Joe?
I sure am. Let's see if I can, share. Let's see if I can share the correct one. I think it's screen 3. See if this gets us the one I want. Oh.
All right, we see a slide presentation. Looks
okay, good. I gave you the right screen. I get too many screens and too many windows open a lot. That's the way it goes. Well, I'm Joe Kirby with the Missouri Department of Conservation, way out here east in Missouri. So it's afternoon for us, and it looks like I had some emails open. I was going to show you to start off with something. We talked. If you're interested in the conference, I'm the president of OFLM for until November 6th or so, when we switch over our roles. But it's going to be a great conference in Hood River, Oregon. It's fantastic. At OFLM.org, you can get more information on it. If you're up in the area, we'd love to have you. It's a very inexpensive conference, and a lot of great presentations, like John gave, and a lot better than what I'm going to give. But if you have an opportunity, look into it, and we'd love to have you out there. It's a great organization of like-minded folk, from IT folk like myself to wildlife, fisheries biologists. So we have a wide range of people engaged in it, and it's a great opportunity. So, Department of Conservation, we're a fairly large organization. We, as John talked about, costs, and I'll get into that in just a minute. And in this presentation, I'm going to go from extremely high level all the way down to the very nitty-gritty end of the weeds of Tableau, and how we're using it, what we're doing, and how to actually use Tableau. So I'll try to go through these slides pretty quickly, because I think you'll probably be more interested in actually seeing Tableau at work. But Department of Conservation, we're actually, I call us 10 little empires and not one organization, because we have our fisheries, forestry, wildlife divisions, protection, private lands division, and kind of our divisions like that. So we're fairly, well, we have about 1,500 employees, but we're very diverse in what we do. And we also, in 1977, passed an 8-cent sales tax that's in the Constitution. The politicians hate it, but it allows us flexibility to do more than a lot of people. And you see by my title, long, and I still don't know exactly what it means, but I deal with data and Tableau and these type of things. And I'm an IT nerd and not a biologist type. Oops, let's see if I can click. There we go. So what is business intelligence? John showed a lot of stuff in displaying information. So being able to visualize your data easily, spreadsheets, charts of that type of stuff, of tabular data is really hard to see and understand. But dashboards like the one I have showing up here, showing telecheck and how we check our deer and turkey and by what method and how it's traveling over the years. I'll get into more of that here in just a little bit. Quickly and easily see trends and analysis of what's happening. It can be very interactive. And I'll show you that here a little bit. And you can make more knowledgeable decisions as you move forward on this. Oh, and before I go in, since I am going all over the gamut, please feel free to jump in and ask questions throughout and direct me, especially when I get into the kind of demonstration portion of it. If you have specific questions on that, don't hesitate to chime in and shut me up and ask you a question. I'd be glad to help on that. So why Tableau? Why did we go with Tableau? What happened is I found an opportunity in my position. We had talked about business intelligence for some years, and it just never really got off the ground. So I had a little bit of time back then. I made some time and started looking at business intelligence, knowing that it would be a great benefit to conservation and us moving forward. And CWD, chronic wasting disease, we're making a big effort on that. So I used that to help show the power of data visualization tools, and that got the ball rolling. So you're looking at here, Tableau is an industry leader. The charts, the magic quadrants you see here are from Gartner, and they're an analysis firm. That's not quite the word, but they have experts in all sorts of fields, and they just study. So there's a group of people that study business intelligence tools, and every year they analyze all the different tools and rank them and give information on them. And as you can see, Tableau is highlighted in red. It's continually growing as the industry leader. That led us to moving that toward the top. Other state agencies within Missouri are also using Tableau, and that was really what brought us over the edge. You see Microsoft is way up there, but they looked at the entire suite of tools. So their Power BI isn't as fully functional. They say, well, if you can't do it in here, you can use Excel. And we didn't want to have that type of diversity of tools. We wanted to try to get something a little more flexible, and Tableau meets that bill. Cost-wise, as John said, it's pricey. It can be extremely pricey, but the Tableau desktop license is $1,000 a year, so not too awful pricey. They also have a Tableau Public, which allows you to display your dashboards for free. You just have to export the data, and they're static. I mean, the dashboards are interactive, but the data is static, and you have to, anytime you want any updates, you have to upload them there. They also have a Tableau reader, which is kind of like Adobe Acrobat Reader. So if you have one person with Tableau Desktop, they can create dashboards and send those files out, and you can read them and interact with them with Tableau Reader. And then you move up to Tableau Server. They have an online version and an in-house version. We happen to have the in-house version of Tableau Server, where then you can sync up with Active Directory and user IDs and control who can get to it and what levels of information you can get to. And I'll show you some dashboards that are actually on Tableau Server at the moment that we have. So what it comes down to when a lot of this stuff is data governance. Data is everything when it comes down to what we're working on. If we don't have good data, we can't report on it in any meaningful way. So, you know, having good quality data, useful data, and having it secure. That's one of our big issues as well, is making sure our data is very secure. I don't know if you recall I don't know how many years ago was an officer shooting of Michael Brown was his name, in Ferguson, Missouri. Well, when that happened, the state of Missouri got hit a lot with hacking attacks. And so because conservation and the rest of the state was really focused on security, we were able to thwart all those attacks. But having our data secure and protected is extremely important when we're doing this. And that's kind of beyond Tableau and data visualization tools. But if you don't have this stuff set up, it's going to be extremely difficult. Tableau can work with text files, Excel files. It can actually even convert PDF files. I wouldn't recommend it. It can connect with all sorts of different data types and sources. But the better structured your data is, the easier it is to maintain control and grow with. So my plan when I started working with visualization tools and trying to figure out which one, I was looking at several different tools. I wanted to start really small with some known data, learn Tableau, take online training, you know, work with the data, take my time, get comfortable with it, you know, discover, analyze issues, correct data, you know, highlight data inaccuracies, which Tableau does a fantastic job of, and then gradually expand within the organizations to more and more data types. Well, I made the mistake of, during CWD, we had a mandatory sampling. Everybody in certain counties had to bring their deer in to be tested for CWD. I made the mistake of building some dashboards real quick and showing it to my boss, who showed it to the deputy director and director, and they all got all excited about it. And it's like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Give me more. I need more. I need more information. Let's do the commission and the governor by October 1st. True story, and that was in September that occurred. And of last year. And of course, then we started figuring out, well, we don't know what we don't know, and we don't have all our data in a row, so it's a little more difficult to do this. But, you know, as soon as they saw the power and the functionality that we have available within visualization tools in general, and for us, Tableau, there's just a lot of excitement of, hey, we can do a lot of things with this. We can, you know, our governor is really big on transparency and being able to show what's happening and let the public know what we're doing and how we're using our money, and that we are doing good for the state of Missouri. So this gives us the opportunity. So currently, I'm taking our data dashboards that we have and putting them in a Word document and sending them to the state COO to give to the governor on a monthly basis. And we'll grow from there here in a little bit. So what we're doing at the Department of Conservation is a strategic transformation. We've come up with 3 main goals with the organization, 6 strategic outcomes, and then just a multitude of measures. And those measures are what we're going to report to the public in some form. Matter of fact, the rest of this day is on meetings of a handful of measures. And okay, where's the data? What do we want to do? What do we want to display? Are these measures good? How do we display them? What type of information do we need? And kind of that's where we're going with that within the organization of being able to report and tell people what we're doing. You know, a lot of the problems with our agencies is not that we're not doing fantastic work. All your organizations are doing great work. Department of Conservation is doing some amazing stuff. It's just a lot of times we aren't explaining it very well, and we aren't telling people what we're doing and not being as transparent with it. So that's within our strategic transformation. That's our goal within the organization. That feeds perfectly into business intelligence. Good and bad. What this has done for me is make my life hectic with trying to get information and dashboards out, but it's also put focus on it to put a high priority, which has given me more funds and time, which I'll go back to that. John mentioned he's has a small group. I have an extremely small group. We have two DBAs within our organization. They're helping a little bit. We have an hourly that's doing a little bit of work, and a project manager and myself trying to do all of this. And we weren't getting any slack on our other jobs, other work we're doing as well. So we're trying to fit it in between the raindrops as we move forward. So we've had Tableau almost 2 years, and we're really just now starting to realize some good benefits of it, just because we don't have the staff and the time, and I haven't been able to fully focus on that type of stuff. So the challenge was in gathering all the data and building the visualizations for these measures. And we're finding in our meetings in these weeks with our measures that finding where the data is extremely difficult. We have things from in GIS databases, a variety of locations. We have it in Oracle, we have it in SQL Server, we have it in Excel, we have it in paper on locations. So these groups, the people that are in charge of this data and these measures, are having to look at where the data is before I can really do any major work for them on the dashboard side. And that goes back to a couple of previous slides. If you don't have the data, you can't really report on it. And if it's in somebody's file folder in an office, it doesn't do us much good as telling our story to the public or up the chain of command to make your projects more visible to the agency and to the public. So reporting versus visualization. I have several slides after this. We'll kind of skip through those because they were designed for if I can't do a live presentation. But I wanted to show you this one real quick. The top little graph, the FY17 budget status section, that's the last section of a page that is 396 pages of a report of our entire budget, how much we spent, how much is remaining. But with Tableau, I was able to create a dashboard. At that point in time, we had a budget of expense and equipment is all we have on this one, not wages, of 81 million, and we spent 51.19 million. Of the 10 divisions that we have, who has the most amount of money budgeted, who spent the most and where it is, and we could actually drill down and see it very visually. And you can drill down all the way down to our individual budget line items with that. Before I move on to showing some dashboards and stuff, does anybody have any questions on any of this? Alrighty, I will start with, well, let me pull this over here for you. This is our Tableau server, and as you can see, I have 213 different views of dashboards in our development area. I've created 3 different sites. MDC Open is for anybody within the department. MDC Restricted is those that, our protection division has some stuff, or our HR division has some stuff that they want to look at that they don't want anybody else in the agency to see. So we can restrict who has access to it a little more effectively. And a public site that we're going to make available to the public. We're still working on some security issues that our security experts are a little concerned with. I think a little overly, but that's just me. I want to get this data out. So this is kind of what our Tableau server looks like. You can have a lot of visualizations available to us. Now I want to start with this one here. As I mentioned, one of the very first slides had our check method. When we for deer hunting and turkey hunting, we have what's called telecheck. You're required to check your deer or turkey by 10 p.m. on the day you harvest it. We have 4 methods to do that. IVR, which is a phone. You call an 800 number that has voice recognition. We have mobile app, Mo Hunting, if you want to take a look at that. It allows people to see their permits, telecheck their deer or turkey, see their harvest record, buy permits, those type of things. The Mo Hunting app. We have a web app, and we have Live Operator. If somebody calls into the phone line and they have a big southern drawl or something where a voice recognition does not understand them, it'll kick them out to a live operator, and they will actually go to our website and do it for the person while they're on the phone. As you can see here, we introduced Mo Hunting in 2014, and you can see the growth of it. This year is the first year that we've surpassed the phone-based methods. So in this, I combine mobile and web, and this one is our live operator and our phone system. But you're able to see the growth of it, and this is what we're looking for. Of course, the phone system's considerably more expensive than our mobile application. And you're able to, I filtered it for the fall. I brought it, if I'm during in the spring, see how we have more numbers than we can look at. Just quickly click, and I can choose all my different seasons that are going on, that are available, and look at specifically at those. I can also look on a daily method of, hey, how are we working daily, and how many numbers are we having telechecked? And I can even look at, I want to change that to weeks, and we only have, well, last 7 weeks, so only go back to September 15th was when our deer and turkey archery season started. And I can look at the daily progress of what's happening, and I can see that during the week when low harvest is, more people are using the phone. So maybe more retired people are using the phone instead of the Mo Hunting app. We have a youth season in a couple of weeks, or I guess in about a week or so. We'll see more people using the phones. Kids tend to use the phone system for some reason a little more frequently. Now this one is our short check story is, again, it's within our harvest. It's refreshing for me. Okay. One of the things we can do with our Mo Hunting app, it is now legal to use your phone as your permit. You don't have to have a paper copy of your permit. You just have to have your phone and the Mo Hunting app so you can show an agent on your phone your permit, and that's fully qualifies for it. So our protection division wanted to know how many people are checking their deer within 10 minutes of purchasing a permit. In the past, it was easy for us if it was within, well, a couple of hours. You know, they went to Walmart after they killed their deer and then telecheck the deer, or purchase the permit after killing the deer and then telechecking it. Well, it's a little more convoluted with Mo Hunting because you can get your permit so quickly and easily, and it's right on your phone. So they wanted to see what was happening with it. As you can see here, and we hover over it. In 2015, we had 176. 2017, 379. So we've really upticked in the number of people checking within 10 minutes or less. Now, 379 out of 300,000 deer and turkey is not a huge number, but it's definitely a big increase. And I broke it down into sections of 11 to 30 minutes and 31 to 60 minutes. And those two are staying pretty level. It's just the really short ones that are growing. And of course, these are all low because we haven't had that many deer checked this year so far since it's early in the season. Well, that was great information for them. So then now they can have their agents paying a little more attention, educating the public a little more. But then we want another step. Change pages. There we go.
Joe?
Yes.
Just a real quick question. So the assumption is they're making a kill and then going into the mobile app and purchasing a permit. Is that the assumption?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
So, and that's not always, with 10 minutes or less, yeah, probably, because I think you're supposed to have your permit with you before you go in the field. You can't just, hey, I need it, and I'm going to buy a permit, and there's a deer, let me buy a permit, and I'm going to shoot it. I don't think that's legal. Of course, I'm not an agent, so I don't know the details of it. But, that's what people are doing, and with the mobile app, you can, that morning, hey, I'm getting ready to go out in the field, I'm going to buy my permit, go out and get one quickly, so it is a little more possible. one thing we can do here is this. I've broken it up into counties in the Missouri counties, and I've ranked them. So this is number one. Howell County is the most prolific people hunting 10 minutes or less, and the season year. I can look at the specific season year, and I can choose a variety of season years that we have. But so our agents are generally by county, so they can go and look at their specific county, and I'll open up Howell County. If I do that, it comes to here, and I'm only looking at deer. And it shows everyone. We got a 2-minute one here, so yeah, they checked it 2 minutes. They checked it 2 minutes after purchasing the permit. So they had to, I mean, there's no way they could have shot a deer, bought a permit, shot a deer, and got it. So this person more than likely bought the permit after he did it, if he was in the field, or actually he had gone back home and said, shoot, I need to buy a permit. I've got my deer in the freezer already, but I better purchase it. One of the things we can do with Tableau here is I can click on this one, and I can click on the link, and I can go to this buyer information, the specific information of his telecheck history. This is our agent's application. I won't stay on that very long because that's privileged information, but so our agents can actually click from here and go to their application, and from that they can issue citations. They can look and research the specific hunter and see if anything's going on with them. From there, they can do a variety of things quickly and easily from the application. And you can also, if you want to select multiple counties, you can do that and it'll pop up. And I selected, I don't know how many counties I have there, but there are 38 records in that. And you can do some sorting. Let's see if the sort will work for me. It's not going to work, or it's very slow. So it gives, in this instance, our agents a great tool to research and analyze this extremely quickly. Beforehand, they would have to do a variety of searches to make this happen, to get this type of information available to them. Now we'll go into, well, I'll open this up, talk about Tableau a little bit. This is the Tableau desktop screen. And as you see here, I just wanted to show this real quick. Oops. Here's the variety of data types you can connect up to, and you can select a file from there. Here's different types of servers. Click here. It can connect up to a variety of things, Google Analytics, all sorts of different servers, Salesforce, which is a customer service type of application, just a variety of things. It looks like there's even more if I scroll over this way. So there's even more. And then even web data connector, so you can connect up to, if somebody publishes an API of data, which I'll probably show you a little bit here in a minute as well. You can create a web data connector to connect up to anybody else's data that publishes an API, and you can connect up to that data. So there's a lot of flexibility on what type of data you're able to connect to. Now, let me pull up, not this one, this one. One of the things we want to look at and display for our public is our turnover rate. You know, how quickly are people leaving the agency? This is one of our measures that we have here. And there's some things we can do with this type of thing. Up here, oh, well, this has changed. It's a projected turnover rate, and they have set, you know, since we're only in October, and it looks like they haven't updated data for October, this calculates based on our current rate of people leaving what our rate will be, and it's, you know, looks like it's going to be 4.55%, and it's red, you notice. And let me go back 3 years. There's 2017. 2017 was yellow at 4.63 with 61 people leaving the agency voluntarily. So they just found other jobs essentially. And you can go through and it'll change based on, I have a green one in here somewhere, where you can see the turnover rate and monthly rates. If I go back to, not that it matters which year I grab, but I'll go back to 18. And you can also see an average line. If I select this line here, well, now my average is for the last 3 months, July, August, September, we lost 8 people a month, which is a lot higher than we want to have, definitely. So we'll see how October works out when that data rolls in. I'm just showing you some of the flexibility that we have available within Tableau to look and review and analyze data. And there's all sorts of different things we can look at. And you can actually, if I want to go here, I can look and I can go full data and I can see the detailed information of the data that we have. Now this is scrubbed it, within this database table, we have their name, their social security number, their address, and all this type of stuff. Well, I don't allow Tableau to see that. I've hidden those fields so we can say, what type of position they're in and how they left. There's their position title, what division they were in, and those type of things. So you can look at the specific data, and then you can export it if you want. If you have a larger data set and you want to do some more analysis on your own, you can export that data as well. Oh, and let me go back to, speaking of that, if I wanted to show this, I go back to here, I can download this as an image, a PDF, or a Tableau workbook. And that's what I've done. My boss wanted this on a regular, or he wanted it in mid-October, so I downloaded it to PDF and sent it to him, and also sent him this link saying, hey, you can click here to get that. And you can also subscribe to it and say, hey, I want this shipped to me every Monday morning or every weekday morning, and you can set up schedules to have it emailed to you. So it'll email you the PDF and give you a link to it so you can go to the live data. So if you have supervisor or something that wants the snapshot, they don't necessarily want to have an interactive system to deal with, it can be in their inbox on whatever frequency you want them to see it. Okay, I'll close this one now. I don't save that. Now, let me try a grand experiment here. I'm going to build you a database or a system, and to start that off, our GIS department has a lot of charts and maps and stuff that they have available to the public. This is out available to the public. I want to look at confirmed mountain line sightings, and they have this graph, this GIS system where it shows where we have mountain line sightings, and you can click on it and get some more information on the mountain lines. Well, I thought, well, I wonder what I can do with that in Tableau. There's point data. I haven't worked with polygon data in Tableau yet, but I wanted to play with this and see what was happening. So let me show you how quickly and easily it can be done. Now, I'm going to do this real quickly. Hopefully, I don't mess it up. I'll create several dashboards here, or several visualizations really quickly. The first time it took me a lot longer to do this, as I'm still learning and understanding how to deal with the data. But I've already connected to 2 different SQL databases. So we connect to different databases. I could connect to Microsoft SQL Server and Excel as well. And I want to, let's see, let me grab this. I'm in the production one. I want to do mountain lion. Grab the mountain lion, put it on here. Update. Let me make this full screen. There's my mountain lion data set, 74 records. So we've had 74 confirmed sightings. Well, I could do some great visualizations on this, but I wanted to do something a little bit more. So I wanted to get counties and regions, because we have 114 counties and 8 regions within the state. And I wanted to roll it up based on county and region level. Although this has county, to go to region level, I needed to add TBLK count. Oops. Got to type right. TBLK county, not country. And it immediately says, in this instance, I don't know how to sync it up, so I know it's county name to county name, and I'm going to make it a right join because, and I'll show you here, I want to see, these are nulls, so I want a list of every county. There's not every county in the state has a mountain lion sighting, but I want every county, so that's why I made the right join here. And division, I want to link it up to division. Oh, why did I put it down there? So, table K division. So I want to link up to, oh, because I didn't want division. See, I grabbed the wrong table. That's why I didn't do it. I want table K region. region. And then it's smart enough to know there's a key in there, and that's the region code. So Tableau says, oh, look, that's a good match. I want to make it a right join just because the data guy, that may not be necessary, but I want it to be that way. And now I've added all the regions and the region names. And to show you quickly, if I don't want some information to be displayed, I can quickly and easily hide that information, and it cleans up the data that we have. So, and then I can go and show hidden fields and unhide them as well. So now I have my data. So now what do? Well, we have X and Y coordinates. You notice here they are numbers. Well, they're latitude and longitude. So I want to go and I want to tell Tableau, this is a latitude. And I want to tell this is a longitude. Hopefully I got it right. It'll look really funny if I don't. I also, you notice it's set into dimensions and measures. Measures, it does counts and stuff. Well, I don't want them as dimensions. They're a measure. So I want to convert to dimension, convert this to dimension. Now, if I just double click on these, boom, all of a sudden I have my, and change the name of it to by location. Now this has my X and Y coordinate on it. If I hover over it, well, I want more information. So I'll drag that information. I want to change sighting date from a date time to a date. Drag that on there, what county it's in, the age, and actually verification information as well. I just drag those on there, and I have that available to me now, and I can go and I can change and rearrange. Oops, it popped up on the other screen. I can manually change this, so I don't want X, Y coordinates on there. It's just not as clean there, and we don't need to show people that information. So we can see, and we've got some in here. There's a lot of unknown, a lot of game camera things. There should be, there. Here's a subadult male that was killed in a vehicle collision. So that was, this photo was probably him. That was 2001, 2015, maybe not. He wasn't hanging around that long. So I quickly have this information available to me. Well, now I want to do this by county. Well, I double click on county, and it knew as a geographical location already. And I want to do number of records on here. Oh, I got to change this back to a map. So I'll make that a map, and it shows the county and the number of records they have on there. Well, you notice it says 26 are unknown. Well, that's because a lot of states have a Barry County. So I just tell it that this is Missouri. Okay, and there's one unknown. This unknown is because I mashed up those counties, so I have every county in the database. Well, there's a lot of nulls because the way I mashed that up. So I just want to filter that out, and it automatically filters it out for you. Now I can see the counties and how many there are. Well, this doesn't tell me much, so why don't I drag county and put it on color? Oh, no, I did that wrong, so let me back up. Let me totals and put it on color. Now we can see the darker color is the higher volume of kills. So Shannon County had 13 sightings on there. Now I can't necessarily, does it show Shannon County? I can't, necessarily drag sex on here because there's 13 of them, so it won't show effectively. But photos that are one records, it'll show. And there are ways to get around that. That's definitely a lot more complicated. So let me get rid of the sex. Okay, great. I have it by county. Well, rename this by county. I want to do by region. Okay, Tableau understood county. It knew the county is a county and it's a geospatial piece of information. Region, that means nothing to Tableau. Well, how do I go about doing that? Well, I go here first. I want to use this county name and not this one because this one has all 114 counties. So it didn't know that was geospatial, so I need to tell it that it is geospatial. Great. So that gives me counties, or this county. Now Tableau knows it's a geospatial element, and if I drop it on, it'll show information, but that's not what I want here. I want region. Well, our regions are based on county, So I want to say this, it's a geographic role. Well, I want to create it from county name. Boom. Now, pop here, double click on my region, double click on my number of records. I want to put my region on, oh, I want to make it a map. A map. Boom, there are my regions. And I want to put the sum on the color. There's my sum. Then I want to take my region name and put it on my label. And there we go. I have my region names. I have the information of how many records were on there. I can, if I want from here, come on, it's being cantankerous. There we go. I can go in and look at the full data of all the records. You see the nulls. Oh, well, let me do this then. There's those nulls again. Let me filter them out. Yes.
Hello, Joe. This is Sharon. Just a quick time check here. This is great. We haven't seen anybody build these in real time yet, so this is really, really cool. But we want to give people a chance to discuss a little bit, and we're getting toward the end of the session. Yep. We have just a couple minutes.
Okay.
For you to wrap it up, if that's all right.
Yeah. So let me wrap that up real quick. There are a couple more things. I'm creating a dashboard now, so I can put these all on a dashboard, and I can. Well, I want to make this a filter. So now, if I say make that a filter, if I click on the Ozark region, it'll filter the other ones on here, and this looks a little funny, and it does that on occasion. It'll straighten itself out here in a second. And if I make this one a filter, then I click on Shannon County, and it filters all the others for that information. It shows you a Ozark region, and you can zoom in and zoom out. And there's some line charts and those type of things that you can do. As a matter of fact, anybody has any questions, and I'll show this one thing while people are coming up with questions. Anybody have any questions on some stuff?
Hi, Joe. This is Lisa. Thanks so much for your presentation and demonstration. I was really interested in hearing about a little bit about your process that you're using to engage managers in developing measures and data reporting. You know, looks like this is being unfolded across your department. So curious about timeline and things like that. Just a brief overview would be interesting to me. And then I'm wondering, are there, as you engage in this process, are there examples where you found, gosh, we found a really important measure, but we don't have the right data for it? I'm just curious if there's any examples around that. So thank you.
Yeah, we're actually, I'll show you. Oh, my calendar here. This is what we're, as a matter of fact, I've got that meeting in just a few minutes booked up. But we have our major workshops. With our strategic plan, we've tasked and we've created outcome teams that have come up with it was like 14 different outcomes. We brought it down to 6. And those teams, the experts in those areas, have come together and said, what type of measures do we want to have? And then we've gone from there to say, and that's what these meetings are here, are deep dives. Okay, this is what you said your measures are. Where's the data, and how do you want to report on it? And these are very painful meetings. Well, I mean, everybody's cordial, but it's like this data is everywhere or nowhere. So we're doing an agency-wide effort to try to do this. Timeline, I mean, we've been working on it for a year or more as an agency, and we started off with one thing. We had 4 goals, 14 outcomes, and a multitude of measures. Now it's 3 goals, 6 outcomes. Because that first one, we're like, no, this is not working. So we've had to step back and restructure. It's been a lot of work for those outcome teams to try to figure out what we want to display and measure to the public. On my end, I'm helping them, showing them, like we did here, what the options are available for us. And it's a slow process. We're doing a lot of things we've never done before. So these agencies, or these outcomes, these people that are out working in the field, they're used to, hey, I'm dealing with my data. I have my information on CWD or my hatchery information, but I don't share that. I'll create a report once a year or whatever. Our forest group, well, they do forest plans every 5 years. Well, how do we gather that data? How do we make that data more accessible? And that's the pain points we're going through at this point in time with it. My hope was to do things like this mountain lion or our telecheck data, deliver some stuff to specific people, show them what can be done, and then gradually build up, but with a strategic plan that kind of forced it a little bit more, but gave me more ability to focus on this stuff, especially now as we're having these outcome measure teams, because they're going to come up with measures that I've got to deliver something in some sort of timely measure.
Thanks so much. Appreciate the insight.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you for your question, Lisa, because I think you've hit on something that is a big concern, and almost everyone has mentioned it, and that is that data management, data access is pretty critical, and almost everyone has problems with some missing data somewhere. And so while you can visualize what you have, hard to know what you don't have, especially at the end user visualizing, and that is a problem. So yeah. I'm not sure if when you do a data visualization, if on the screen somewhere you put caveats on it that we expected data from this region and it's not in yet, or some kind of notification. But that's, you know, a whole different issue. That's management of the system and of the people. Right. And yeah. So.
Yeah, and that's something that occurs. You know, I classify our visualizations in 3 categories. One, something that goes to the governor, the director, the public. It's a really high level piece. The next level would be something for managers to look at and view an information, and the lower, more detailed level would be for the person in the field doing the actual work to be able to see what's happening. You notice I added a line chart that shows by year how many sightings we have, and of course it's again made it interactive quickly and easily to show where they are. When I first did this line chart had one out in 2017, and I showed that to our GIS guy, and I was like, "Oh, you got a problem here," and he quickly went and corrected the data. Somebody double tapped 0. I had an arrest, so we arrested somebody in 2019 because these visualizations show that type of thing so quickly. People can see it, where the arrest in 2019, it was like a 2015 arrest, and I had found it 6 months ago. Because, well, they just do monthly roll-up reports or yearly reports, and they don't see it in that way. When you do these type of visualizations, you can see it in a different way.
Yeah, using data visualizations to actually correct data that's just wrong is that's an interesting technique too. Yeah. So we have time for a few questions. We're at 11:25, and we'll finish in about 5 minutes. Anybody have any other questions for Joe or John? Or for me, for PNAP into the future? Any suggestions too? All right, so just a couple more announcements. Joe, if you can stop sharing your screen, I'll just share mine.
All righty, let me find out where I go. Here we go. Is this it? Oh, there it is.
And I think I have it now.
There we go, you got it now.
Yeah. All right, so next steps, we are still in a learning mode, and we'll send out notes to everybody. And if anyone has any suggestions for something else, I think Joe gave us a taste of what we could do in the future, which is some how-to presentations. Instead of just seeing what the data visualization looks like, what it could be, which audience it works for, we can talk about exactly how to get there, dive into the mystery of how to produce a data visualization. And thank you for the real-time presentation, Joe. But I would like to hear from everybody, and I'll certainly put this in the notes and the email. I'll remind everyone, what would you like to see going into the future? And we do have a meeting scheduled for November 15th, a couple of presentations for November 15th. We'll probably cancel December, which is on the 20th, and then we'll come back in January with another meeting. And at that point, we might start going into an every other month meeting. So any other last thoughts, questions from anyone in the group? Unmute yourself if you'd like to say a few words.
This is Joe Kirby, and I'll say if anybody has, they've got my email address. If anybody has any questions or anything, don't hesitate to email me, and we can work things out. If you need more information or anything, I'd be glad to help you with it.
Sounds
Even
great.
if you have some data that you want to say, hey, play with this and show me what I can do with it, I'd be glad to do a little bit of that. And actually, Tableau will do that for you as well if you get a trial version of it.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Joe. Any other thoughts from anyone in the group? All right, then. Thank you all for staying through the whole presentation, and hopefully we'll see you again in November, November 15th, and I'll be sending out notes and links to the presentations and to the slide decks. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you for participating, and have a great day.